Welcome, everyone. You are listening to The Lighthouse with the Sacred Embers team. Today is Friday, July 12th, 2019, and we are so excited to be here tonight. This is Tina Godin, and I'll be your host this evening, and with me are Shannon Johnson and Lynn Bleasdale. Tonight, we're going to discuss the topic, Basic Ethics for Psychics, Mediums, Healers, and Other Forms of Service. We will not be doing readings this evening, and you are more than welcome to call in and join us on the lines and in the live chat room. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Shannon and Lynn. Hi, ladies.
Hi, Tina. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Tina.
How are you?
Hi, Lynn.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Despite Mercury being retro.
I know. I know. My computer was locked up all day today. It was just kept doing it to me. So rather than get frustrated, just walk away.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing we can do.
Yeah, just say thank you and move on. Oh,
yep.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting topic this evening. There's quite a lot of information, but I just wanted to, Lynn, I'll start off with you, and you can get right into it, what your thoughts are and what you have to say.
I actually did a little homework on this one, and I sort of went to a logical place. I looked up the Hippocratic Oath that medical practitioners take, healthcare people and whatnot, and I kind of examined that, and I discovered that there's 4 to 7 principles of ethics, I guess, depending on, what field you work in. And the principles are justice, beneficence, non-maleficence, I can't pronounce, doing no harm, accountability, fidelity, autonomy, and veracity. And these are very logical, like a very logical safety net of parameters to work within when you're reading for people. Any person that does any kind of work with another must take that ethical stance: do no harm. And I think that applies whether you're a brain surgeon or a medium or a healer. Any of those things, just applies to everyone. So just if people are interested, just type in Google the 4 medical ethics. And then there's another where there's 7 principles. But I liked the 4 because 4 seemed to be a rather magical number for us today. So, so it's being fair to to the people. You don't hurt them. You're doing your best to do a good job for them, and being always truthful. And that's a weird one. I'll let you guys handle that, because that's one we were looking at too, is when you get bad news for a client, you're getting a bad feeling about something they're doing or something that may be in the offing. There's a very, very delicate way to handle that. You don't want to frighten people. But anyway, I thought that the starting out with those ethical principles, that they start with the medical practitioners, and then we can apply it to ourselves as spiritual healers, guides, what have you. So that's my take, Tina.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
I like how you looked that up. Yeah. That's
yeah.
It's true too, because it applies everywhere, really, with when you think about it, it applies in every day, even in our jobs. I mean, like you said, doctors, we just have these basic ethics that we should really incorporate in our lives and instill, really. So no matter what profession that you're in, that makes a lot of sense too. So
absolutely.
So Shannon, what about
you?
Yourself?
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, I was saying you are the head of a team yourself in your day job, and you practice that. I know you have a happy team. Yeah. Carry on. I'm really interested in what we're going to have next with Shannon. Shannon's laughing.
I know she's laughing. Ooh, what is she going to say?
It's always something cool, though.
I was so excited about this show tonight because to me, ethics is not an area that gets talked about when we get into works of service, being mediums, working as psychics, healers, any kind of energy work. It kind of gets pushed off to the side like, oh, yeah, this is my side thing. But nobody ever talks about the ethics that we should have. And every profession has some form of ethics standard.
Right.
And I'll tell you, go into massage school, you have to take ethics. And every 2 years that I had to do CEUs to renew my licensing and everything, you had to do 6 credits of ethics for every renewal.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to do it. Even for my husband as an electrician, he has to take an ethics class as well as other CEUs. It needs to be a part of it, showing that you're keeping yourself up to date in any new information regarding ethics and behaviors and things like that, or, if there's new laws that have come into place. So, every profession has this. Light workers, healers, mediums, energy workers, we need to have a basis of ethics too. And you can pull from the other career fields as well, because there's some that are pretty standard in every field. Do no harm. That one is pretty much across the board and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't think about, we have a responsibility to the work of being authentic and working with integrity. People are coming to you, you're being a work of service, and they're coming to you and bearing parts of them that often are deep, dark secrets, whether it's needing healing on something or they're trying to get a reading. And as we all know, deep, dark secrets come up. And they're sharing stories. They're very vulnerable at these times. And, yeah, we have to be authentic to Spirit for what the messages are or what we're picking up doing a healing session. But at the same time, we need to be aware of how we're presenting the information. I've had situations with clients that I had to give bad news. And that's a rough one. But for me, I always asked my guides, if I'm going to have to give bad news, you need to give me something to go along with it that's going to help the person feel uplifted about it and not like, oh, my God, I am just going into the worst hell of my life and there's no end to it. Spirit will always provide some kind of inspiring support info to it. Why is this going to be rough? Well, because there's some gems in there for you to discover about yourself, and when you get through this trial, these other things are going to be coming into play for you, and it allows the person to be more accepting of the hard information you had to give, but you're also providing a support to them as to how they're going to be able to move through this. Because if you're getting fear and you're providing fear through the message, or even on a hands-on healing and you discover something and you're kind of like, uh-oh, I think they need to go to an oncologist because I'm picking these things up. You don't want to scare the person half to death. They're going to have a heart attack on your table.
Right.
You're doing distance, and you're like, well, I really think you need to go see an oncologist. There's ways of presenting the information that is staying true to the messages from Spirit and yet giving the person a stability in what you're needing to provide. You would actually be more aligns the, I'm noticing something and Spirit is showing this to me. You may want to take time and kind of look at some other things. Perhaps you should check in with your doctor and have a checkup. You already know your body's having these struggles. I think you need to go see the doctor. This way you're not putting fear and scaring them half to death about what's happening. You're kind of like, you're able to give them at least a support to it. And I don't think that gets talked about enough when we're working with mentors or just learning our abilities, or any form of work of service to others, that you really need to look at the integrity and the authenticity of how you're conveying the information.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's my big chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true too. I mean, we really do have that. It's an enormous responsibility to spirit, to our sitter, to be able to deliver these messages in a way that it is not harmful, right? And also, as you said, we want to, have integrity, have authenticity. So, it's delicate. It's absolutely delicate in how we convey these messages.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing too is I've learned through my learning is in a sitting, if something comes up, if it's something that is, I'm seeing clairvoyant, that could be like an interpretation. I could misinterpret that information, let's say, right? But if it's something that I'm hearing, and I am so positive about that because I am hearing it, I'm positive about that message, because there's no room for misinterpretation at that point. One of the things I will say to my sitter is, do you want to know everything? Because you put that responsibility too on your sitter, because it opens up that, it's shared. And so then at that point, you could come in and, I've heard this, and then along with that, aid them in how they can navigate. Maybe it's a block or maybe it's something, and help them work through that. I think that's really important to say that as well, is, just when you give a message when it's maybe not so good news, of something, and I'm not talking devastating news or anything like that. I'm talking, just something that Spirit gives you, like a warning or something. You can deliver it in a way where it's not fearful. You can help them through that, work through that. What's the solution? What can I do? As mediums, we can help our client in that way, rather than have somebody run away scared, out of their life. Or even when you're working on a healing on someone, you don't want them, jumping off your table and running off screaming, So we just have to be very careful. There's it's delicate. That's the best word for it. It's very, very delicate, and it's private. And that's the thing too, is, as you said, you mentioned, when we're giving these readings, that is sacred. That is private information. And so we never really want to, relay any of that information out of that space. That's a very sacred space, and it should be
Absolutely.
honored.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one I see happen a lot with new people newly working with their abilities and starting to work with others, whether they're practicing or whatever, is you have to be careful, because if you're dropping bombs on them, people are going to flip out.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to pay attention to what is really being conveyed. And, I've had clients that are like, well, my mom has been really sick in the hospital. Is she dying? Is she going to die? And I know we've all had that experience with a client here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Is she going to die?
Yeah.
And it's a delicate situation, whether you're talking about the teenager with an addiction or the senior citizen or the middle-aged person that had a heart attack. My experience with Spirit, they never tell you unless they are literally like in the process of, that they will be like, you already know the process has started. So yes, take the time with your loved one. But other than that, they're pretty much hands off on that. They're like, no, we're not giving that information. So if you have someone you go to a psychic at a fair or something like that, and they're like, yeah, well, grandma's going to drop dead next week. Be prepared.
Right. Right.
Walk away from the information. Just don't flip out, because more than likely that's not the message, because as we all know, we've received messages before where they're kind of like, this is like a death. You're going through a transition where the old self is dying off and the new self is being reborn. If someone has an illness, it might be that they're at a point that they're having the choice. The soul level is having a choice of, am I going to use this for an exit? Right, or am I going to fight a little bit harder because I got a few things I want to do? Or spirit is going, yeah, no, get back in there. You know? So,
you're not getting off that easy, right?
Yeah. Oh. And to touch on the other part of that Tina had brought up too is the sacredness of your sessions, no matter what form they are. This is no different than you going to the doctor or the psychiatrist and you are spilling your guts out. This is sacred work. What is revealed to you and shared with you needs to stay with you. You don't go posting to your friends, or you have, company over and you're like, oh yeah, man, I had this client and she was just like blah 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 blah, blah, and you're spilling this person's entire information out to complete strangers.
Right.
That's not holding the sacred space of the work.
No.
You've just moved into total ego mode, judgmental mode, and the energy of it is going to whip itself around back to you, where you're going to have people talking about you like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's sacred.
Karma's a bitch.
Yes, she is. She takes no prisoners, man.
So be good, for goodness sake. That's our advice. Yeah, it does boil down to the golden rule, really. Everything does. Everything we do, every breath we take, just do as you would be done by. And boy,
absolutely,
that would be a nice world, eh? Everyone. Yeah.
I know. Treat others as you want to be treated,
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish everybody was like that. But even too in like psychic readings, and I've had, it's happened to me. So just from my experience, long time ago, like you said, Shannon, seeing somebody at the fair. I remember this person. Here's just an example. So I went to see, this was, probably was in my early 20s, and I went to see this person, and, just, I didn't know anything about this person, not a reputable person, not somebody recommended. I didn't look up the credentials, just somebody off the street. And as a 20-year-old would do, just go in and get a psychic reading, from the side of the road. And so, but what was alarming, yes, I was very gullible when I was young and naive and all of that, but at least I didn't take what she had to say to heart, because had I taken it to heart, it would have been detrimental. She basically told me to quit college, leave my job, and all this stuff, and so it made no sense to me. But that's something that even when we're doing psychic readings too, we don't want to tell someone, because we have that responsibility of their lives. We don't want to ruin lives. We want to help people and not steer, somebody on the wrong path or just causes mayhem in someone's life. That would just be absolutely horrible. I can't even imagine. So that responsibility that we have as readers, it's ginormous. It's huge. So we want to be careful too. And, sometimes readers can get in the headspace and they're not really getting a message from spirit. It's more of an interpretation too, and we have to be mindful of that. Have to be very careful, and it's quite all right to say I'm not picking up on anything right now. Absolutely. You don't want to make it up. That's one of the things that I just stress to people is you don't want to just, if you're not getting it, it's okay. It's okay. Happens to all of us.
Right.
Right.
That's a good point, because not every psychic or medium is the right one for you, the right
Correct.
connection.
Yeah.
I've had sessions bomb. And it was just like, I felt like the deer in the headlights going, this just isn't working, okay? I'm sorry, but for whatever reason, you and I just aren't gelling here. The connection between the three-way is just kind of wonky, and, perhaps I'm not the right one for you to be talking to. And it's an important thing to know those moments.
Oh, yeah.
And for us to recognize those moments that, you know what, I really feel like you're going to benefit from working from someone else. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you or the client. It just means that the connection between the two of you in that moment, it's not fitting. It's not working real well. And the best thing you can do is send them to someone else that you feel is going to fit them better. And the same thing for the client. They need to also use discernment with the messages. I tell clients all the time, I may be completely wrong. I could be totally wrong. I could be misinterpreting the message. I'm human, trying to translate to you what they're bringing in, and perhaps it's just coming out crappy in that moment. So they need to use discernment as well. If you're sitting with a psychic or medium or a healer, and you're just kind of like, huh? Or you're getting fearful stuff, use your discernment. Take what resonates, sit the rest off to the side. Maybe it's the way it's being worded that's not conveying it well for you. Maybe you need to think about it for a little bit and then realize that, the pieces are fitting in a different way. Okay. And then you can work with it a little bit better. But if it's not resonating, just let it go, sit it off to the side, and I think it's important when you're doing the work that we also give the clients that comfort of, hey, it's okay if it's not resonating for you right now. It may not click for a year or two. I've had that happen where I had a reading and then it was kind of like, I really don't know. What you're telling me has like no bearance right now. I don't know. And then 3 years later, it was like, oh, my goodness, it all clicked. Because what they were picking up was stuff that was in motion that I wasn't aware of yet. So the messages were kind of like, you're way off base. And then here I ended up finding down the road that, they weren't actually off base. It was that other things had to happen in my life for those messages to make sense.
Yeah. It's nice to stay neutral when that happens, because if it doesn't upset you when it happens, it doesn't really, it's a nice validation, but you just trust what Spirit brings through. And then you let it go, right? You can't get attached to the meaning or whatnot. Laura had a really good point. Laura was in the chat room, and we dragged her out of her comfy chair, made her come on the air to talk about psychic scammers, which we have a lot of problems with, especially in our circles and stuff. There's people that just aren't to be trusted. Anyway, Laura, you're on with us, aren't you?
Hi, yes.
There she be.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I've noticed that it's not really a problem in the psychic community that we have in the Sacred Embers, luckily. That's amazing. We're all very ethical and, know the boundaries. But we do have a lot of Sacred Embers followers who have been scammed, and even some of our team members have been scammed by psychics in the past, And the one common theme is that they have a curse on them. And that psychic
right.
is the only person who can get rid of it. And it's like, what? And I'm in a few other groups on Facebook with, like, it's like a whole thing of psychics. There's like 20,000 people in there. And they're posting that, like, oh, if you need me to remove a curse. And I'm like, people are still doing that. That's horrible. So I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to talk about it with you guys. What are your thoughts on that? Wow. Horrible.
Well,
it's wrong.
You know,
oh Lordy,
it's,
that's funny.
yeah,
It's not funny. Yeah, it's not funny what happens, but it's just, you know, it's like that's a no-brainer. Like if somebody says that to you, run the other way. Oh my goodness, you know, that's
yeah, and, especially the whole I can do this for you. It's going to take this many sessions, and you're going to have to pay this much money for every session in order for this to get cleared. Big warning sign. Turn around, run the other way. I had a curse.
Red flag.
My family had a curse. Woohoo! We really did.
Oh,
really did. Oh my goodness. I did not pay thousands of dollars to clear it. I did not need several psychics to clear it. We actually cleared it. And then I got assistance through another medium who does a radio show. And I already knew about it. I had found it. And for my family, it was linked to a past life, like 4 lifetimes ago. And so it had an old link. And the reason why it came to my mind was because it was like every time we started to make headway in life, the rug gets pulled out. Kind of like what I'm dealing with right now. Not as bad. But, you know, and then you're like, okay, we got to start from scratch again. And I was seeing the repetition. So I knew from the work with spirit and everything, anytime you're seeing a repetitive pattern like that, you need to look at other aspects of it or aspects of life, and maybe even have to look at past life to see if there's a link there somewhere. And that's what I started doing, digging through it, you know, and kind of going, okay, I'm finding the links that this is a repetitive pattern. And then I got assistance to clear it, and it literally took us 5 minutes to reset it. But curses are one of the ones that, I hate to use the word psychics, mediums, but that people wanting to entice you into a repetitive, repeat customer will use as a fear tactic. It scares people to hear, you have a curse.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
You know? And if they're telling you, oh, yeah, you know what, and it's going to be this many sessions, and we have to do this, and I'm going to have to do that for you, and blah, 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 you need to be running the other way. Find another resource, because there's other ways of clearing threads like that we may be working with that's not going to break your bank.
Mhm. Yeah. Also, you know, an ethical metaphysical worker is going to empower you, not exercise their power over you, if that makes sense.
Great
they will
point.
give you
Great point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll feel that too. You can feel it right in the, you know, the lower chakras get all tight and icky, and you're like, this doesn't feel right, you know, gives you stomach troubles and whatnot. You can feel that stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I've run into healers as well who were like, oh, you have all these issues. You're kind of like, yeah, I know about those. And then they're like, well, in order to cure you, we're going to have to do all of these steps and all of these different sessions, and you're going to have to do all this other kind of homework and blah, 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 blah. You need to stop and pause. How is this feeling? Because most likely you're probably sitting there going, oh, I don't think so. What? Most of the time, unless they can give you, like, okay, so we're going to start working on the physical ailments first. We know you have, you have some emotional trauma linked to these. But let's start to give ease here, and not to overwhelm you, we're going to do this step is next. Some people do need steps. But if someone's sitting there they haven't even gotten a clue what's going on with you, but they're like, oh, yeah, 10 sessions, honey, that's what it's going to take.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, you need to stop, pause, think about that one. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to talk to somebody else. No different than going to your doctor and he's like, oh, yeah, you need surgery. And you're kind of like, I have a bellyache. Okay. I'm having indigestion, and you're talking surgery. You haven't even looked at anything or run any tests yet. You would run out the door, and you'd be like, I'm booking a second opinion on that bad boy because this doctor's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We're the same thing. Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to also bring up is psychic bullying. That's a huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
I was bullied as a child, like my whole life, and it took me standing up for myself. But even getting into the psychic world and having psychic readings, I experienced psychic bullying, and that is so not okay. And I actually had a recent one where I was super bullied, and Ryan, our friend, had actually said, I don't think that's coming from the light. And I had done some research on psychic bullying and what that looks like, and it was exactly what this person was doing to me. And it's something I've experienced quite a bit, and I think it does dominate the psychic world as well. One of the big things is, putting down your client. If they think that they have psychic healing or spiritual abilities, to put them down and dismiss it because you want to be the only psychic and you want to have that power, have them keep coming back to you, rely on you. That's a huge, huge, huge red flag. Diminishing and not diminishing your feelings, questioning your beliefs, dismissing your feelings. This is something where you really have to take a look at your intuition and your gut and say, does this feel okay? Because I've had quite a few psychic readings where the energy was really beautiful and warm and loving, and I knew that this person was supportive and coming from the light, and they were giving spiritual guidance from source. And then there's some that it's very ego-based, and I know you guys had brought this up where it's like they want to be the only psychic and they want you to depend on them. Something that I really loved something I really loved that Ryan would do is, first of all, he would always have people trust their instinct, and he would say, I'm a great healer, but if you feel connected to someone else, then feel free to hook up with them. But if you want to hook up with me, that's fine. And when he gave healing sessions to people, he would always build them up, and he would make them feel better than they came in, not just with the healing, but he would encourage them to be able to use their gifts. So he wouldn't be like having them keep coming back for his healings. He would say, hey, you know what, I think you're a healer too. Let's look at this. And then he would mentor them. So I feel like that's a huge thing, people with their ego in this too. It can get really funky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely want to empower others. That's part of the healing work that we do too. And it's so important because when you're in that vulnerable state, when you come to a healer or a medium, you know, we're hurting, right? You're hurting, and you're vulnerable, and you're trusting. And so it's great that, you know, that Ryan, you know, had that integrity and that empowerment for people, and that he could share that with them. Because, I mean, I've had sessions with Ryan, and I left there feeling like $1 million, you know? Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, but it was also that emotional piece that was very helpful as well.
I'm getting a little comment. Oh, sorry, Laura, go ahead, love.
Just before I forget, it kind of goes hand in hand with, yes, you're a healer, but you're also in the communication service. You're giving a service to the community, so you have to be good with people, and you have to uplift them and love them and respect them as a fellow human being. This isn't just a cold, hard cash business. You know, you're dealing with people, so you have to have that empathetic portion of you and, you know, give that love to people. It's just so huge.
Really the only currency we have when you come right down to it. I just had to share a little comedy, and I think it came from Ryan, but he sent me the image of those hospital gowns. You know, when you go for a checkup, you have to put those things on that have no back, and, you know, when you're running around the hospital with your butt hanging out and stuff. And he said it's the same metaphysically when a client comes to you. They've got that open backed thing, and they're pretty vulnerable. It's just that it was a comic image, which I think was probably Ryan sending that to me. It was pretty funny. Yeah, he just won't let anybody take anything too seriously because really, you know, skip the small stuff, and it's all small stuff if you get right down to it. But, yeah.
You know, and I'm so sorry. I don't want to cut anyone off, but I did have something else come in. I don't know, I think you guys already discussed it, but the boundaries of getting permission from people, not reading people, just, you know, asking them if they're okay to hear it. You know, sometimes you see someone off the street and you hear, hey, this is her grandma, can you blah, blah, blah. It's like, need to get permission to. And some people's boundaries are like, you know, maybe they don't want to hear something. If someone says no, it is no. No means no.
There you go. Good point, Laura. Yeah.
Yes, I was just about to bring that one up. You heard my brain over there, Laura, because that's a big one. That is such a big one, and especially for people that are newly working with their abilities. You get so excited about it, and you're like, oh, my gosh, I go out to the store, and I can see this, and I can see that, and this person's got this going on, and they got that going on, and I'm getting a message for your grandma, you know. It's wonderful, okay? We will acknowledge that. It is. It's awe-inspiring, and it's overwhelming, and the magic of it is so beautiful. But there again, integrity. These people have not given you permission to read them. They're getting the groceries. They don't give a shit, right? They don't want to know. They don't want to know that somebody is seeing their dirty laundry that, you know, isn't quite out there and things like that. So, you know, if it's something that Spirit just keeps coming back and coming back and coming back and is like, please tell them we love them or something like that, then, yeah, approach them and say, you know, hey, I know you don't know me, but would you be open to hearing a message that I seem to be getting for you that seems to be important for you to hear? And if they say yes, go for it. Just let them know, hey, Grandma, she just wants you to know how much she loves you. And leave it with them and go on about your business. If they say no, then you need to shut your mouth and walk away. They didn't give you permission for it. And even as healers, we can see stuff. We can hear stuff that's going on with people. You don't have permission. And, I mean, this was something that was like drilled into our heads in massage school, the school I went to in Las Vegas. You don't have permission till that person lays down in front of you. That's your opportunity. That's when you get the information from them of what they're wanting from you, what they're dealing with. But until that point, it's a no-go, because you can influence someone in choices and decisions that they have coming up that perhaps are vital to their own life experience. And by us interfering and not getting that permission, it's no different than someone invading your personal space. And we know some of those people that like to come up and get real close, and you're just kind of like, yeah, get off me. It's no different than that. So you have to keep that respect. We're not all Teresa Caputo running out there. She's getting paid to do that through a TV show. Have the respect for the people. I even do it to spirit, honestly. I'll tell them, look, I'm going shopping. I don't want to hear about everybody else's shit when I'm out in the store. Don't want to know. Or if I have a session coming, like I know someone who is very good as a medium, known her for many, many years. But when I found out that when she would have an appointment booked, then she would astral travel for like 4 days before the appointment and observe the person, I was just like, whoa, big cross on the ethics right there. I'm sorry. They made the appointment for when they come and sit down in front of you, not for you to be going and watching and observing them. It's a little creepy. That's a little creepy.
That's really creepy.
Wow.
Yeah, she's phenomenal because she watched you for 4 freaking days.
That's
I wonder
that's
why
the
she
ultimate
got
Googling.
Yeah, that's something else to be aware of. If you're sitting down with a psychic for the first time and you're hearing stuff that's like from your Facebook, red flag.
Oh, yeah.
Red flag.
God.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's just wrong. Holy doodles.
It is so wrong.
But there are some psychics out there that will Google you before you sit down with them.
Oh, my God.
And find out, are you married, divorced, widowed, had an accident? It'll be in some of the news reports. There's amazing things that they can find out about you through the Internet. And if you're hearing those types of things, you need to stop and pause for a minute and really think about the information you're receiving.
Right.
Because someone that's working with the integrity and the authenticity of their profession, and this is a profession, is not going to be doing that. I mean, for me, I even tell spirit, I'll have them start going, oh, hey, we're here early. We're here early. Can we start telling you? And I'm like, no, you can't. Y'all go sit in a corner or go find something to do with yourselves, okay? Until I sit down with that client, I don't want to know anything. Because you're coming in, and that client hasn't sat down in front of me yet and given their permissions. Once they sit down and connect with you, go for it. But until then, it's their personal stuff. And even spirit, you have to kind of go, dudes, look, I don't want to know, okay? That's their stuff. When they're here, have at it. Go for everything that you've been holding your tongue on. Here we are.
That's fabulous. Wow.
Yeah. So you have to think about it. For us, there's a lot of work that goes into doing this work. Some people think that we're like, oh, we're all these sparkles and everything, and okay, yeah, here we go. No, it takes a lot of continual self-work. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of cleaning our energy.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of self-observation of where we are maybe not being as authentic as we could be. Maybe it's with the reflection in the mirror. You know, those kinds of things that, you know, it's a continual process for us to stay in the work, because otherwise we're going to burn ourselves out. And then oftentimes for a lot of psychics and mediums and healers, when we start to burn out, our gifts close up. They look like a little shriveled raisin. And then it takes us a whole lot longer to bring them all back to life again, because Spirit goes, you're not only abusing the gift, you're abusing yourself. So we're going to close the door, and you're going to need to sit and work on that again. And it's not fun. When they do that, it is so much fun.
Yeah.
You're like, God, I was so good in that spot, and now it's just poofed. And then you end up finding that you have to do a whole lot more self-work to get back where you were.
Yeah. And, you know, another thing we could talk about is work ethic, as far as what does it look like to be a professional psychic medium? Are you going to be late? Are you texting on your phone during an appointment? What are we not going to do during these appointments? How do we look professional? Because I think some people might need a little refresher on that as well.
We just laughed so much on that one, but oh my goodness, I have seen some videos that you're just kind of like, oh, honey.
Yeah.
What happened to you today?
Yeah, exactly. So I see it too, and I'm like, wow. Even, you know, dressing provocatively sometimes, like just things that just you shouldn't really do in this kind of profession. You know, it really is a serious professional job. You're working with the public, so you do need to be presentable, not only with your manners, but the way you carry yourself. And yeah, just the way you act. Like, if somebody sets an appointment with you, don't be late, and don't be rude, and don't be like I've seen people literally, you know, doing like drugs on Facebook Live while they're giving readings. Yes.
Are you
trying to say that in a very professional way? I am very serious. Very strange things happen, especially on the Facebook Live.
Oh my goodness.
I'm getting all kinds of scary mental images here. What are those things that's coming?
And then also, you know, and not talking bad about other people and psychics, and just manners too. I mean, there's so much. It's common sense to us, I think, but like not everybody. You know, it's like I've watched some lives where they're just bad-mouthing other people while they're giving like readings to the public, and it's just like, what is happening? What?
Oh my goodness, Laura, you got to stop watching certain. You got to like get a better Facebook following. It's in those 20,000 member psychic groups where it's like not controlled, and just like a lot of psychic mediums in one, and they're like, oh, free readings or donate to me, and it's just like, what is happening in here? I'm kidding.
Wow.
Well, wow, that's like malpractice, you know. It happens with medical stuff. It happens with the metaphysical, you know. Whoa. Yeah, I guess it's sort of, sensible to say if somebody's like doing drugs on your while they're doing your reading, just, I don't know, I wouldn't book them next time or something.
My guides call that guy the high guy.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, a glass of wine is lovely, but if you're drinking while you're reading, that's definitely a no. And if that's for after or but holy doodles, yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, and when I. Oh, you go, Lynn.
No, go ahead, babe. No, you go.
I was just thinking one
it's
of the
your
things
birthday,
with.
Laura.
Thanks.
You go first today.
One of the things that I think of when I'm seeing this, when you're presenting yourself to the public, and, for me, yes, I'm a mom, and a lot of days I look sloppy, but, it's like when I post my, profile, I know that I'm in a business online, so I'm not, really dressed scantily, and it's not really part of my business model. I mean, I guess it depends on your business model, but for me, it's not. You kind of need to make sure that whatever you're putting out there isn't going to come back and bite you in the long run, because, employers or clients, they're going to look at all that stuff. We have the internet now, and people are searching you. And if you're high guy, they're going to see that and be like, well, I don't know if I want to book with that person for, $50 or $100. So we have to really be careful about how we're presenting ourselves to the public. And then, not talking badly to people, dressing up nice, looking professional, being respectful. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I guess it's just, how do you want to look to the public? What is your audience? And then put that out there. Just be very mindful.
Mm. Yeah, it's really isn't that complicated, you've just got to treat people with the compassion you would expect back. That pretty much, treat yourself the way, golden rule, that I just can't get past that. But they're either coming from love or they're coming from fear. And if you're feeling fearful during a reading, it's time to shut it down and say thank you. Yeah.
And I think you have every right
to
back off.
Go ahead, Laura.
I just think you have every right to say, no, thank you, I don't feel comfortable. And within the first 5 minutes, or even if you're halfway through, just say, I don't really feel good about this, and walk out. I wish I had done that a few times where I was like, this doesn't feel right. But, I got to the point where I felt scared to speak up and say, I don't feel good about this. And that's something that I'm working on, and I want to be able to teach my followers that, it's okay to stand up for yourself. If you feel like somebody isn't being respectful or somebody's making you feel sick to your stomach, you can say no and just walk away. You have every right to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that goes on both sides of the fence, the reader and the client. The healer and the client.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I have another one for you guys. Let's see what Tina has on this one first. How about the client that wants to continually book? There's some clients that will come to you and the first time they're just like, woo, and can I come back to you in 2 weeks? And then can I do in another week? And then can I do? An important thing for us is learning to be able to say no. You need to sit with this for a little while. Maybe in about 4 to 6 months, it'll be a good time to rebook.
Right. Yeah.
Have you run into that?
Yeah,
Tina?
I have run into it before, not to that degree, but well, I can't really say that. Close to that degree. And what I found, it's, first of all, you don't want to take advantage, number one, of your client, all right? And when you see somebody that is acting, there's more things going on that are deeper, all right? So one of the things could be that they really don't trust themselves, their own intuition. And, so maybe I will try to help my client work on that by offering some techniques or things that they could do, and be honest. That's the thing is just be honest. Say, you're reliant on these readings, is a concern to me. I really want you to get to that point where you have these critical thinking capabilities of your own without the addiction of needing a medium, or a psychic to go in and give you these readings. And, I find that I've had a few clients that they're just didn't, what the bottom line was with them, one of them was this fear of not being able to trust yourself. And I can really resonate with that. And so, I know what that feels like, and I'm still working on that today, really just trusting your own judgment. And so that's what we, did work on. And so, I think when you're honest and when you can confront and when you have it, and again, delivering it in a manner that is kind, caring, compassionate, and, you can see to eye and help this person out, in the long run, you're really going to help this person in their life, and so they don't become dependent on on getting a reading. Because what they'll do is if they're doing it with you too, they may go to another medium. Then you have those that'll just jump from one to the next and just get reading after reading after reading. And it's a concern. It really is. And sometimes, you don't see eye to eye with a client, and that's happened too, where I've mentioned, I think that you're doing a lot of bookings. I'd like to, extend those bookings out like 6 months. Let's see, at that time how you're doing. And, they're angry. No, they want it next week. They want it once a month. And it becomes, it's a concern. It really is. And that just becomes, like I said, they're just not having these critical thinking capabilities and whatever underlying issues are occurring, So, yeah, it has happened, but it's, I guess we have to do what we can as empaths and spiritual guides really to, shift people into a direction of being able to be self-sufficient, to think for themselves, to care for themselves.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. Yeah, what about you, Shannon?
It's important that we learn when to say stop.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a struggle out there about that in the field of this career area. There's a struggle there about saying stop. I went through it myself as a person working on my own healing, and I had people that were just like, oh, well, you haven't healed it deep enough. Well, you haven't done this yet. You haven't done that yet. And, working with another healer and them being like, okay, well, we need to do this many sessions and stuff, and I had to finally figure out that I ended up taking the reins and saying, I need to say when to stop. Because as good as all of this is getting, for some reason, we're not getting to the root of it. And I need to stop and look at it from another perspective to see where is it? Because maybe it's me. For my situation, it was me. And it wasn't that because the physical condition I live with, I was able to receive enough healing for coping. But it's part of what I need for this life. And for me, it was having that moment of me finally stepping back from everybody else and going, stop. I'm going to pause here and look from some other perspectives and see what's going on. And then I ended up finding that it was me that was resisting the condition that was causing it to have more flare-ups, more pain, all these other issues being so in my face and constant. And I had to kind of go, okay, so my guides keep saying this is serving a purpose, that it's something I wanted to work with for this life. So why am I resisting it like it needs to be fixed? It's wrong. Apparently it's not wrong. It's something I need to change my perspective about. And when I switched channels to acceptance and loving the condition, I didn't have as much pain and I didn't have as much flare-ups. It's not gone, but my body's not reacting in the same way. And it's the same thing with clients. You know, when you have clients that are coming and you know that there's a situation, yes, you may need to split it into 2 sessions to help them get all the tools and information that's going to really hand them the ball back into their lap, because they'll look to us as being the answer. And so they want to keep rebooking because, A, we're empathic. When we hang up, they feel good. We've helped that energy come off of them, but we haven't empowered them in the tools that is going to allow them to keep moving forward themselves. So they looked at us as, okay, I need to ask this question. Okay, what do I do next? Okay, can I see you next week? And then the following week after, because I have the doctor in between. You need to stop and start looking at how you're going to handle the client and the situation they're in. Maybe you do need to break it into 2 sessions so it's not so overwhelming. But in those 2 sessions, empower the client that the real power is theirs in the next steps. And that way they don't become dependent on you for all of the support and being able to show them that. I think I conveyed that okay.
No, very well.
Oh, yeah.
A little zigzag there.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good argument for, this sort of thing. Primarily, it's an inside job for all of us, right? And a good reader, a medium, a healer, whatever, can facilitate your own healing, your own enlightenment, all that stuff. But it ultimately, what's that thing they say about teachers? A teacher can turn the light on for you, but you've got to go in that room and do the work yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we have a few callers in the queue. You guys want to take some callers?
Mm-hmm. Bring them on to the round table.
Great. All right. We'll start with area code 917. See here. Hi, 917. You're on the air.
Yes. Hi. Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Are you doing readings?
We are not doing readings this evening. We are just having a topic discussion this evening, but we appreciate you listening in and hanging in there for us. Yeah, every Friday evening we're doing a roundtable topic discussions, and we're not going to be giving readings on Friday evenings, but the other days that Sacred Embers is on, we will be giving readings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, and have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, and we have another caller. Oh, that call just got dropped. So it's just us in our living room.
Scared them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were waiting for a reading on both of them.
That's okay. One of the things that we could talk about also is working with teams, how to work cohesively with a team with your psychic abilities in an ethical and respectful manner. That would be really great. Let's see, a few things would be, being respectful and not putting people down. That's a huge one. Not letting your ego get too crazy and thinking that you're better than the others, because everybody's special and unique in their own way. Talking badly about people gossiping. That can get pretty messy too. Cutting people off and just being bulldozing is a huge one that can get very frustrating for people, especially if you're an empath, which most psychic medium healers are. It can get really scary in a situation with a group of people if they're very bulldozing and they're not listening and meeting you halfway and validating you, hearing you, just having respect. Taking clients is bad too. When you're working in a group, if you just that there's a few of you and people just kind of swoop in and grab it. That can be pretty bad too, just being respectful of that. What do you guys think? I feel like there's quite a bit of group rules that I feel like people should follow. I do think structure helps. When you have the structure in a team, that's important, just so people know where everyone stands. That's really important.
Yeah, I agree with you, Laura. It's when you're doing team group stuff, and luckily with Sacred Embers, we've done pretty well of matching up personalities that gel better than other personalities. But, everyone has a value that they're bringing to the table. And, even Ryan and I had a couple of times on Enter the Light last year and you can hear me on the radio going, well, I don't quite resonate with what Ryan's message was. I'm getting this on the other side of it. So it wasn't invalidating the information. It was that I was getting something from a different side of it to present. Neither one of us was wrong. And it wasn't,
a great point.
And you're not going, yeah, you screwed that up. Well, that was a crap reading. No. The information is valid. It's just not what you're receiving. You might be receiving it completely opposite. And it's okay. But don't invalidate your team member and their abilities just because you're getting something different. You just, you can say, that was a little off for me. I'm getting this other side of it. And present the information, because then you're giving the client the opportunity to discern which is working for them in the moment. And most likely, both messages are valid for that person. It's just different moments that they're going to switch back and forth.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's beautiful.
A good teacher is going to help to uplift those who are coming behind them and hand them tools that you've learned along the way and share the knowledge that helps them be able to lift up in their own time and way. Not sit there and go, you're doing it wrong. Because when you're working with spirit, there's pretty much not a wrong way, because everybody is unique in how they're able to attune their radio station. They may bomb out on how they present the information because perhaps they haven't had anybody work with them or took any classes or read any books that gave them the tools about how to convey it in a way that it's going to be received better. And that's okay. And if if you've run into someone like that, and you're able to kind of step them to the side and say, hey, you know what? I've dealt with that before, or I went through that when I was starting. Let me give you some of the things that I found that worked for me, and you might be able to use these for you or in another way. It's kind of like raising kids. There's no handbook with this stuff. We give get into the work and we're so excited and it's so new and vibrant, and you're like, oh, but there's no handbook that's like spells it out, because it is so unique to each of us. But nobody's abilities are any better than anyone else's. It's the time they've invested in developing, the time they took in working on their own self to hold space to do the work. You know, different stages, no different than any other profession. So when you're working in a team setting, it's really good if you're the seasoned one, then help the ones who aren't. Rather than invalidating what they're doing or talking down to them. That's not helping anybody. That's just really your own ego is really sitting there going, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, who hurt you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
really... that whole adage of teach. You can hand someone a fish, or you can teach them how to fish.
Yeah, good. Well,
that's a good one. Yeah, I think it's really important. Oh, you go ahead, Lynn. I'm sorry.
No, you go, Tina. It's your birthday too.
Hey, it's next week. It's close enough, right?
No way. Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. But yeah, I think it's really important to empower one another. It's, when you've worked really hard, when we see one another giving a reading, get out there and say, hey, that was awesome, or that was, oh my God, that was beautiful. And really, support and empower and compliment and be genuine about it, because, and not that we need the validation. That's not the reason. The reason being is that the vibration gets lifted. You're all on the same team. It's just, it's being a really good team player and supporting one another. And, and even when, let's say someone does have an off day, be there too, still be supportive. And we all have off days. And, when someone's feeling down, same thing. And so when we can really take care of one another, be mindful of the feelings of one another, and just, not have that ego come into play, and be open-minded as well with, like Shannon said, we're all unique, every one of us, and we all have something to bring to the table. And, it's just that's the way that it is. I mean, I don't know tarot. I know nothing about it. It's not something that resonated with me, but there's another person on the team that's really good with it, or a few more people that are good. Fantastic. And, it's someone else might be good with, a psychic reading, and maybe I'm not that great with psychic readings. And so these are just examples. But then on a whole level, the energy, collectively, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing on its own, but when everybody gets together and can be of support, it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. It really is.
It's the antonym of competition, which is collaboration. And that's
I like that.
That just expands everybody. Oh, yeah. That's actually off an old album by a guy called Sean Phillips, and he wrote beautiful, beautiful spiritual music. And that riddle was on the inside of his album cover. And I remember going, what's the antonym of competition? And it's like, most beautiful thing ever. That's what'll save our planet, collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another good thing with when you're working in the team format, and this is something we did quite a bit between Jan and Ryan and I, if you have the ability and have realized how to work with it, okay, and you have a team member who may not be feeling well or may have a bunch of life drama going on, help them be able to boost up.
Mm-hmm.
So that, because they're at the table because they want to be of service. They're wanting to help the callers or the people you have in line waiting to see you and this and that. They're there with you. So you can tap in to the universal energy and boost them up. So that way, by the end, they're feeling better, you feel great, the clients are all happy, and everybody came out of it much higher and feeling much better than when they started.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you're working in a team, you connect together. Even though you're doing your own individual connection, anytime you're working with other people, whether it's in the office scenario, the doctor's office, or doing this type of work, when you're working in that team format, everybody's energy connects into each other. So if you're the one that feels fantastic, help your energy to boost the other ones back up, and you'll have a fantastic time. Everybody will get what they need.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I just had a lovely image come in of when you've got a candle and you light another person's candle. You don't have less of a flame. You've got two flames. That was just a lovely. I wonder if Ryan sent that one too. It was so pretty. I'd have to share that.
Perfect. That is perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's a huge thing that happens with certain people in teams if the team isn't respectful towards the other people and they're not lifting each other up, and there's people that think that they're better than others and they're not being a team player, cutting people off, bulldozing others. It really, people can drop off. The flame can go out. And it hurts the whole team, honestly. And I did want to bring up, we have Dennis Miranda in the chat, and he's one of our amazing mediums. And one of the things he wanted to say was, be respectful of other people's opinions, because everybody's different. Everybody has an opinion, and it is valid to them. So we just have to be very respectful when we're working in a team. But I think, the competition can really blow out a flame real quick. If it gets competitive, we're all working together, as you all were saying, and it's just very important to be respectful. It's just so huge to really, especially with psychics, we're all empathic. We know. We can feel it if somebody's feeling uncomfortable or sad or scared, or they don't feel like they're good enough. Lift them up, like Shannon was saying. It's just so important.
Yep, you see them through the eyes of spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one.
There's also the story of
they don't always match. They don't match.
Oh dear. Your train of thought
I just gave Lynn a fantastic visual there, didn't I?
Oh my goodness, you can't unsee it now. But it's like the four guys that are blindfolded, and they're all feeling a different part of an elephant. One guy thinks he's got hold of a rope because it's the tail. Another guy thinks it's like a leather couch because it's the side of the elephant. And then the one guy's feeling the hair, and they're all feeling a different part of it, but it's all the same elephant. It's just they're getting the different bits. And we all have a bit of that puzzle to bring. We put them together. It's actually very, very like a fantasy movie. We've all got a bit of that magic amulet, and we all bring our piece together, and like, woo, the light goes on.
Yeah.
And, with competition, I think it's really important also for teams to know that there's no real lack. That's an illusion. So you don't feel like you have to get every single booking over other people. That's where the competitiveness comes in. If you know that somebody on your team is a fantastic animal communicator and you might be maybe kind of good at it but not really good at it, you haven't done much of it, just why don't you give your team member a chance at it, and then I feel like karma can work in that way where the universe will send you somebody who's perfect for you. And then maybe another team member would say, oh, Laura's good at astrology. Let me send them to Laura. So just to be respectful, I think of that. I think it is very important to run your personal business, but in the team setting too, just to lift each other up and make sure everybody's winning. Because karma's always, in the universe, is always going to have your back because there's no real lack. Everybody can win. Just because there's a million stars in the sky doesn't mean, like, I'm messing this up. The stars, oh my gosh, what am I trying to say here? You guys know what I'm trying to say about the stars? There's like a star thing. Dan says no.
That's beautiful, Laura. It's really no. It's so funny. I think I get what you're saying.
I know what I'm saying. The stars don't think to outshine each other. They just
there
shine.
You go.
There it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and it's true too. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
important to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and networking. If you have a client and you've provided all that you can, but you sense that, maybe they really need a particular type of other connection. So I'm going to use Ursula Lentini as an example because I've had people that I've needed to refer to her. She does subconscious work. It's called internal family systems, and she's phenomenal at it. I've personally worked with her for my own stuff, but there's times that you're like, I'm really feeling strongly, and Spirit's kind of giving me that nudge that perhaps you need to connect with this other person because they do this type of work, and this may align with you better for the goals that you're wanting to get to. And then, if you want to do another reading, we could do it sometime after that where we can look again at the situations and see how far you've been able to go on your own or through these other avenues. So whether it's a team member that has an ability and is more proficient in astrology or tarot or a particular form of healing or some other aspect, and you're handing them off, it's going to come back to you in another way because that's how you increase your flow of abundance. The more that you give, you're able to receive. So just because the client has come to you, it may not be you that they really need. It may be the people you are connected to that you can network them over to. And that's why they were brought to you, because Spirit knew you would be able to go, I know who you should talk to, or I know these 2 or 3 people that do this type of work, and I feel like this could really benefit you. Whether it's a counseling therapist, a life coach, internal family systems, a Reiki master, another medium, being able to recognize it in the moment and be able to go, you know what? Spirit and I both feel this kind of work may really benefit you, and here's the connection. And then you're handing them the ball back, and then it's up to the client to take it and make that next step with those other people. And most likely, when they get through it, guess who they're going to call and be like, hey, you know that person you sent me to? Oh, my gosh, I feel so much better. I did da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Now can we book an appointment because I'd really like to look at things in a new avenue, and I want to focus on these other areas because before I had this pile of dog poop in front of me that I couldn't see past, and now the poop is gone. networking is really important, and knowing the qualities of your team members and where their strengths are. When you put the ego aside, the client is what's important. What is the person needing?
Yeah.
If you can provide it, fantastic. If you can't provide it, you need to recognize it, do the handoff, hold the space for the person, and most likely the universe is going to send you 2 or 3 other clients because you had the integrity to go, wait a minute, I'm not the right fit right now. You need to, let's send you over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I so agree with that. And there's nothing wrong. It is important to promote yourself and to be putting yourself out there like that. But yeah, in a team setting, just be mindful. Just be mindful of your team members. But yeah, I just think it's so important. The competitive stuff. I feel like these are like little tidbits that we chose to learn in this life. Like, I'm going to be a part of this team so I can learn how to tame my competitive nature down, or I'm going to be with this person so I can learn this. So it's just some of these things are life lessons too.
Yep. Yeah. That's another thing too. I know we're getting short of time, but I'd always be a little leery of light workers of whatever modality who have too many clients. They're getting too big. Do they have time to focus on you? Do they have time to follow up? It's a fine line, Yeah. So, it's quantity over quality sometimes. And I don't know, that's a little red flag for me with somebody I would trust with my energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And I know, Shannon, you're you said you only take one a day or a couple a week because you want to be able to give 100% to your clients. That's really beautiful you brought that up, Lynn. Because that's so true.
Yeah, you mean some people I guess can handle it, but I'm like Shannon, I'll do 2 readings a day if somebody needs it, but usually I'll just do 1 a day. Excuse me. And because it does pull your energy, and you do have to rebalance afterwards. So you can't jam 9 readings in. Now I will, with the exception, DC did some readings for Ryan she channeled Ryan for that car wash thing. DC is an incredibly experienced medium, and she knows what she's doing. But most people couldn't handle that quantity. But she was raising money for Ryan's girls, so that there are exceptions to that rule. But most people, you take too many readings on, and you're spreading yourself too thin.
Yeah, and that also goes back to what Shannon was saying about know what you can do.
And know
your
what
limit. You can handle.
Totally.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
I used to book several in a day.
Wow, good for
I
you.
would do anywhere from 3 to 4 readings in a day. But I would go, 7 days a week. I was just open house over here. But I was burning myself, and my self-care was just jumping in my face because I was having to take so much more time out afterwards and then get geared up for the next day that I was losing quality time with my family.
Absolutely.
No different than when I worked in the accounting office doing 12 hours a day, or when I did massage therapy and I'd do 10 freaking massages in a day. I was exhausted. I couldn't give quality time to myself or my family. And that's when, for me, I had to go, wait a minute. Yeah, it's fantastic I'm getting all these bookings, and I love being of service. I love doing readings for people, but I need to look at how I'm doing this, because I'm not allowing my own life to have its time. I'm too exhausted. And I had to go, wait a minute, regroup, girlfriend, over here, because you're not going to be able to keep going like this. you may be able to continue to be of service, fantastic to your clients, but what's happening to you in your home life? There needs to be a balance. And that's when I had decided that, you know what? And I had a long talk with my guides in meditation, and I said, okay, guys, we need to let's help me find a resolution that I can satisfy both. Because they also had me, my spirit guides were like, over here, you got to get trance channeling. You got books to put out. Get over here, girl. You got to be working. And I'm like, but I'm doing 4 or 5 readings a day. I'm working. And then I had to go, okay, stop, regroup. I stopped doing readings for like a month and just took time out for myself. And then I said, okay, from here on out, in a day, only one. Only one reading will be scheduled. But I'm getting rid of my time limit. I'm no longer looking at the clock. I want to be present for that client and provide everything and leave it all on the table. And when we finish, we finish. And I'm done. And I only do like 4 days a week. And they're not always right after each other. There'll be gaps in between. And I make sure that I have my family time, my personal time, so that I'm doing my self-care to keep being of value to my clients. And, okay, so I'm only doing that one session in a day, but it ends up being steady as well. So I'm not burning on both ends of the line, and everybody's getting what they need, and especially me. That's a big one when you're having to put yourself in that equation of being of service, and that you have to put yourself as one of your clients to be in service to.
That's very logical. It really is.
Yeah. You know, and it's for me, it became an ethical thing. It ties into our topic, because if I'd have kept burning it, I was not going to be able to be completely in service on all facets of my life.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we owe it to bring our whole energy to the client. You know, just I don't want to use a swear, but it reminds me of Homer Simpson talking about his parenting, and this time I used my whole ass. It's not just half-ass parenting. We're good mediums. We use our whole ass. There's a Sacred Embers logo, you guys. We can use that, you know. What do you think, Laura?
That would be crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Could I? I'd like to wish Laura a happy birthday, if you guys don't mind. Happy birthday, Laura. We love you very much.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Laura.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Love you guys.
Yeah. Well, you've made such a difference to the group. You know, yeah. It's sort of like witchcraft or something. Yeah, it's like you wiggled your nose. Poof, there was all these amazing people in the group. So, yeah.
Thanks.
We call it a harmonic convergence.
Yeah. There was something.
All right, guys. Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up for the evening?
Shannon's reaching for that. I can feel it from here. It's just beyond reaches. Oh, my God. I'll get it. You can get it. You got this.
Okay, I'll start first. My best advice to anybody getting into work of service. Connect with those who have been doing the work a little bit longer. Ask the dumb questions. Think about how you want to present yourself, how you want to leave the table with your clients, whether it's healing, mediumship, psychic work, or other forms of energy healing and work of service. Your integrity and your authenticity is vital in you and the work that you're providing. You're holding space for people in their most vulnerable moments. Think about how you would want to receive it. And if you ever need to question what Spirit is giving you, you can always stop and ask them to rephrase that. Can you reword that so that your client is leaving the table feeling empowered? And you can walk away knowing that you provided everything you could for the client. Integrity and authenticity is everything if you're going to be of service. And don't forget yourself. That's my parting words.
Mm-hmm. That's really
Perfect.
good. Yeah, and I'll just add, if I may, when people are starting out, learn your safety protocols first. Learn your boundaries, protection. Know what you are connecting with before you start reading for other people. You can pull some really weird energies in through just ignorance of the subject you're working with. So yeah, just safety first, and then grow from there.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So true. Well, Laura, do you have anything to say, hon?
I just wanted to say that just don't forget to love people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like a binary code. It's love or it's fear. It boils down to one or the other.
Yeah. And just remember the what is it, the golden rule, do no harm, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
everyone.
if you're feeling,
go ahead, Lynn.
I was just saying, if you are getting a reading and you are feeling like you're being harmed, just say no and walk away. And yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
Tina, carry on. You were doing that extra, and it was so great. And I start again.
No, it's okay.
And don't forget the laughter. Don't forget the laughter.
It's so important. So important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great discussion.
Good discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good. I enjoyed it thoroughly. You guys are fantastic. Mm-hmm. I'm just sitting here in the background listening, and I'm just like, I wish you guys could see me. My jaw's down. I'm like, oh, my God, you guys say that so well. I wish I was as articulate as you guys. But, oh, yeah. And, I always learn, too, when we have these discussions. I'm always coming back, away from it, thinking about it, and I learn something from it, and I can take that away, from these conversations. So I thoroughly enjoy it. It's so much fun.
That's a day worth having when you can learn something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All right, guys.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you, everyone, for everything that you contributed and what you had to say, and thank you for the listeners that are listening in. We will be back next week, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, for the Lighthouse Show. So follow us, and we'll see you next week. I hope everyone has a good evening.
Good night. Love and light to everyone.
Night. Thank you.
Love and light. Good night.